And hello, I want to welcome you to how we scaled from zero to 1,000,332 in sales, and that was in 20 days. And I'm going to talk about the three steps to get here, and also that this model indeed creates success in any online market. And my name is Jan Ragnerud. I'm the founder of chaosmap.com. I'm going to talk about a little bit about myself a little bit later, but let's dig in because I know you want to see this information. And let me just set the stage here. This is very, very exciting. $1 million is not chump change, as they say. And but the thing here is, it's pretty exciting because when you start out, you have your best intentions, you have all your metrics, you have your goals. We're going to talk about that, but everything is sort of laid out to a perfect lay of the land, right? Which in ads management, that's typically not the case. But I wanted to start here because it's very exciting. What does this really feel like, right? $1 million plus in sales in 20 days, all under $80,000 in ad spend, as you'll see. I'll cover all of this with you today. I'm going to share with you all the details. And a quick note here, this is not a Google AdWords training course. There's a lot of detail to it. So if you're familiar with Google Ads and Google AdWords in the old days, that's great. If you're not, you're going to learn some here, but we're not going to go too deep. And if you don't know really much about it, there's going to be a few technical aspects to this as well, but I'll try not to freak you out or anything. And the official disclaimer is that this worked for us, and we are professionals. We've been doing this for a long time. It doesn't mean that it's actually going to work for you, right? But the model here, that is proven. So I'm going to take you through it. And just to kind of get this out of the way, lots of screenshots and fake news online these days, but this is the real shot here from within the BigCommerce eShop. We set up BigCommerce here in this case. And we started here on the left, as you can see, with low orders, scaled up, a little balancing throughout the weeks there, and then back up and closed out with $100,000 sale in sales that last day there, and so 1,000,003 here. And you'll see some variances between the numbers in Google Ad Spend here, and that's because Google actually, at the time of screenshot, reports a little differently. I recorded this screenshot earlier, and then I ran the ads again a little bit later, and Google had collected a little bit more data around this. So let me just break this down real quick. Don't want to bore you to death here, but I'm Jan Rogner, as I mentioned, founder of ChaosMap. We've been doing this stuff for a long time. I'm originally from Norway, and I came here many years ago because I wanted to pursue my music education. Been going to music school, guitar primarily. We had a live band. We made it to the top 10, a lot of exciting times, and wanted to come to Los Angeles to do it here. A different environment here, different market, clearly. So I took a roundabout turn here, but ended up with software development and entrepreneurship. But I've been in this agency now that I co-founded back in 2007, and I took it fully over at the end of 2013. Investment money, partners, it didn't work out so well. And then I took a break, sort of had enough for the moment, and then got back into it. And that's not to say I love this space. I love online marketing, digital, never boring. And we've served medium to large enterprises in both B2C and B2B markets. It's all very exciting. And then, of course, the 3 books with Entrepreneur were really great. It created a bestseller in that category a few years back. So it's been all really great. And just loving this space. So that's just really quick about me. And then before we start, you're familiar with obviously Google and Facebook ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, the Google engine versus the Facebook engine, those two platforms. Google being an intent-driven platform where if somebody really is wanting to find some information, products, services, etc., Google is the end-all be-all. So search, intent-driven. It's psychologically a very high potential intent driver on the Google side. Facebook is more of the interruption driven model, right? So you may not be looking for a cat juggling equipment at that time, and Google pops one up and you click on the ad and off you go, right? We'll talk about that also a little bit more here as we dive in, how important the product is. There's a lot of conversation around the advertising aspect and what you need to do to make the ads sing. Well, as you'll see here, there's multiple layers to that, and it can get complex, but really at the very simplest level, you need to have a good product that meets the demand. So to check out where you stand, obviously, if you're an established company, you'll know a lot about this. If you are new or have new investment money and you're attempting to break into a market, you can easily do research online these days. There's free tools, paid tools. Google Trends is a great place to start. I'll show you an example in a second. There's some marketplace keyword tools. That's third-party tools out there, paid and free, as I mentioned. And of course, the Google Keyword Planner, GKP, is available. And so is Facebook Audience Insights, a tremendous tool inside the Facebook Ads Manager to look at multiple levels of data points. Really rich in that sense, rich data sets. And of course, breaking into your competitors, looking at their ads, similar to searching in Google. In third-party tools, you can spy on them, right? We like to spy, but we don't like to copy. We like to model. And so when you see Facebook, you can search for Facebook Ads Library, type in your competitor or in the marketplace, and you can see what they're doing. It's very useful. But again, copying outright is not what we do. Competitive market analysis overall, that gets into much deeper conversations, but very important conversations, which then helps us to build out really a sound 360 business strategy plan, a plan for everything that you're doing, more than just cranking out ads, because frankly, the ads is the traffic side, one piece of the puzzle, as I said, and there's media buying, there's media planning, there's analysis, analytics, data. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there, copywriting, messaging, and funnel management, and so forth. But again, we're not diving too deep into that here. Just understand there's a number of moving parts. So step one, as I mentioned, out of the three-step model is to, some would say, well, sure, I understand I need to have clarity, I need to have focus, and I need to have goals. But you really need to map this out. And again, we're not going to go into the actual steps here. Just understand that if you don't have this, then you have nothing. And that includes the audience and the market, right? So if you have clarity about where you want to go with your business from where you are now to where you want to go in the next 3, 6, 12 months, that's great. But you need to be able to map that back to an audience and a market that actually can sustain you for that. And so here's a little further breakdown of what I mean by this. The first one, as I mentioned, is this clarity, focus, goals concept. And it really gets into this. What are you selling? That's one of the first questions we ask. This example that we have here today is in a health, beauty, consumer products area. But then what are you selling? So you start mapping these things out, right? And this could be one product or, sub-items, etc. The idea is that you can essentially come back and say, okay, from a pure sort of math perspective, because we look at math as a very important aspect to this, not advanced math, third grade math that works, but what is the average order value? What's the average order value over time, right? Customer lifetime value. That average order value may be only $20 or $200, but over time, it's tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars into your CRM and bank account. What opportunity exists for bundling upsells? That's where it gets a little more detailed into strategies and what you can do. But suffice it to say that we talk with clients that can't meet their KPIs, their key performance indicators, because it's too costly for them to meet that average order value transaction. When in fact, it's not. If you bundle and you push strategic marketing concepts and bundling, et cetera, as I mentioned, into that to raise this average order value. And we also look at this as not a one-time transaction, but over time, as I mentioned. Who are you selling to, right? The targeting a niche, super key here. Because again, it's going to help us tie the messaging together, as you'll see shortly. And then that helps us all to drive it a little deeper. Like, well, what would it cost per lead or per transaction to get that customer in? How much is that customer worth to you? Remember I talked about that just a moment ago? So when you start getting this down on a piece of paper, digital paper that is, Excel sheet is what we use. We have formulas for this. Then we'll be able to map it out and get clarity and focus around this to establish the goals. And the goals obviously are both from a sort of operational context, but certainly from a CFO in the what a CFO would look for, right? So, and then this third one is also very important: is there consistent demand? Because you might have set up this and it's 1 month around Christmas that you sell. Well, you better have this really tightened up, right? But you need to understand that there needs to be a consistency and that you're not pushing heavy through the months where there's not a lot of volume. And you need that traffic volume, they need the interest, and that's where we also would go a little deeper to understand this. Now, if you have these things in place, good. Most don't, right? This level of discussion is simple at this high level, but it's going to go kind of detailed when we start mapping this out. So that's number one. Now, as I mentioned, Google Trends, trends.google.com or google.com/trends. Here's skincare, past 12 months. Interesting, March 15th. That's when here in the US, we started to see a shift because of the pandemic, C-19. And so folks are really starting to ramp up purchasing and behaviors around skincare. And many reasons for that. I'll let you think about that. But that would be a very interesting point for us to discuss. How can we scale up our skincare business, right? Health and beauty, this is. And what would be able to do in terms of not only offering products out there and be visible around this, but also, as I said, bundling and offer structures, buy one, get one free, etc. A lot of different things that you can do here to basically raise that average order value and that transaction model for you. So step two, talked a little bit about this, but the offers, the messaging, like what are you actually putting out there, and that you are positioning that message. So that's the position piece there. And DR, direct response advertising, that's what we focus on at the agency. And that means really at the simplest level, we take action now. And it's urgency bound to this. And there's also sort of a limited products available type of concept, not fake scarcity here, but basically we have strong drivers to psychologically make the folks pull the trigger now rather than later. And as we look at this with a little more detail, then we want to answer things like, well, what problem are you solving? Now, if it's a skincare problem, that's perfect. We know what that is going to do for you because we can message and talk about that all day long. But we also want to make sure that we recognize, is their pain high enough and is it immediate, right? So notice how this gets into psychology here in communication. What can I do for you right now that can help you right now so that you take action right now? And that gets into, do they actually want it now? And then how do they get it, right? So when I say how do they get it, obviously it's online, but what platform? This gets into technology a bit. How easily can they get it? User experience. We talk a lot about paid ads, obviously, but it's the website, the user experience. We talk about SEO, search engine optimization. Is it friendly to search engines and users? We can get more direct and talk about, the customer lead, cost per lead, as I mentioned, the shopping platform, the BigCommerce, Shopify, WooCommerce, WordPress, etc. And is there consistent demand? And so that's where I talked about the seasonal or steady traffic. The traffic volume and interest definitely needs to be there. So that's what I talked about a little bit here. So it's sort of a little repetitive here, but it bears to bring to your focus that this here needs to be tied into a copywritten message and a offer structure that is direct, immediate, and limited. And again, not a scarce, limited, or scarcity type of deal here. So number three, budgeting, inventory, logistics skills. Interestingly here, a lot of folks talk about how to actually technically scale by adding more money to the campaigns. Most often, this is a team effort, between the client and the media buyers and planners. Because if you don't have the inventory and if your logistics are starting to go haywire, things like the credit cards, right? Backup credit cards. If merchant centers and merchant providers, rather, I should say, are bailing on you, you better have backups. A lot of these issues that folks don't think about needs to be in place. So can you fulfill from a supply chain perspective is huge. shipping and fulfillment, customer service, merchant accounts, as I mentioned. All of that needs to be fully embraced, understood, and recognized as important to the whole scaling. And when we talk about scaling, we definitely want to talk about conversions within CPA, so cost per acquisition, cost per lead, and that you can run this and watch for this hourly, daily, and of course, when you start expanding out to look at patterns, 3, 7, 14, 30, etc., needs to be part of your measurement capability. And so watching the CPAs as we scale, and then we may decide we are going to add blocks of several $100s each day. That's what we did on this campaign. And then also understanding the bidding strategies for Google. We have manual, the ability to bid manually. We have, of course, machine learning, AI type of technology here. Google recognizes this as one of their, favorable things to offer to the community. That has certainly come a long way. And things like target CPA, where you can essentially specify your target cost per lead or cost per acquisition, and Google is going to try and meet that. There's other options here, which I'll share in a second, but that's going to be very important. And of course, understanding those KPIs, monitoring for those KPIs, and having dashboards that are refreshable and give you feedback to your ads as you're scaling is going to be very important, especially if you go into machine learning, because Google can really take over and blow out budgets for you. So that's the 1, 2, 3 there. And so let's talk about Google Ads here and where to start. And as I mentioned, very, very key here, we talk about the creatives, we talk about the markets, the competitive analysis, the things that I covered here. But bid strategies, this is huge. Vanity bidding on the left, smart bidding on the right. This is from Search Engine Land here, I believe. And, the stuff that we're doing here on the left, we don't really do, right? I mean, there's strategies or places to do that in your business, but we hang out mostly on the right-hand side. So, manual bidding, enhanced CPC is sort of a hybrid right there. Target CPA, target ROAS, and maximize conversion is machine learning. Google has just an incredible capability to scale up based on your specific, budgets and scaling frameworks. We actually used maximize conversions right out the gate. We felt good about the funnels, the pages. The business actually was established, but didn't have online, advertising or digital marketing, I should say, at all. But we needed to go fast, and so we, stayed very close to the bidding and watching the KPIs, and ran out the gate with maximized conversions. And as you'll see here, worked extremely well. That is not the case every time, by the way. But in this case, it definitely did. So I'm going to talk you through with a demonstration here of some of the data points. As I said, we use Google Ads, Search Partners, Display Network, all of it. This is not necessarily a best practice, right? We like to break these things out. But in this case, again, speed to market, kind of an open budget. We just wanted to go to town. Highly interested and high search demand product. Expanded text ads, responsive search ads, ETA, RSA right there. Excluded content, types and labels with auto tagging, UTM tracking. This is just setup stuff with Google, but very important because you don't want your ads or your display network to show up for content that is sort of sketchy. Google Display actually uniquely added this GDN in the last 2 weeks. And we had enough budget and enough spend to actually go animated AMP HTML. That's Google's latest technology in terms of speed and efficiency for ads, and animated, as I said. Only for retargeting here, no responsive ads, no mobile exclusions. Didn't go in and try and exclude mobile environments, and no responsive ads either. A 300 by 250 ad right there. Added Bing ads last 10 days. Noticed higher CPAs from Bing, less traffic, but we did meet our KPIs, and We scaled up from a few $100, I recall, to about 2,000 max on top days, and much more volatile there on Bing ads, but still another asset. And what's cool about this is we could actually take the Google data and campaigns, really, and then import it straight into Bing ads and then do a few little customizations, and off we go. BigCommerce, as I mentioned, just had really the main product featured on the homepage, so the master image with a click off to sub-products, and also had some sub-products below that master image. We had an old Google account that we'd established, so it wasn't brand new. So we had some history, but it was revived just when we started there. And we didn't do any other retargeting. We didn't think about expanding out to Facebook or LinkedIn. Let me rephrase. We thought about it, but we didn't want to do it because we wanted to be very specific about this scaling. Again, this speaks to when something is working, expand on that, but don't necessarily throw the kitchen sink at it, right? Plus, LinkedIn in this marketplace would not have worked. It's more of a B2B network. So here, let's take a look. Here's inside the Google Ads account for the 20 days. So you'll see April 10th through 30th right there. You'll see the conversions, cost per conversions at $9.69. The AOV was about $160. So tremendous ROAS, a return on the ad spend right there. And you see the cost there. And again, the numbers vary because Google doesn't actually report at the time of reporting exact numbers. Cost per click, 80 cents. A lot of clicks came into this here, and this has been set to $1 a day right now because we're reconfiguring everything we're doing. But anyway, this is the first exciting snapshot that we're sharing out here with you. As you can see here, it's maximized conversions, and we ran some target CPA as well, but maximized conversions ruled the day. And here we have the GDN account. As I said, it came in later with the animated AMP HTML, 7,200 clicks, and we ran a little later than this, I realized, so it went out to the May here. But we had 1109 cost per conversion, still amazing. 382 conversions at a 4,200 spend or so. And again, display network uniquely here, not search, right? And to do these static and animated creatives, we use Bannersnack. So this is just kind of a tooltip for you here. And they have this cool thing where you can actually set up a multiple set. As you can see here from the medium rectangle on the left, the 300 by 250, we only did that actually. Which again speaks to this idea that you keep things fairly simple and focused. Don't add everything in the kitchen sink. There's a lot of moving parts and you're going to have a lot of data to review and things to manage and turn off. So start simple and scale with that. So Bannersnack, highly valuable. Just get the annual membership there and you'll be on your way. So we also built a custom tool. We are certified Google API developers, so we can actually connect with the Google Ads Management API and reach out through software that we built internally to actually pull data. And this has been very useful, not only because we can customize dashboards like what you see here, but we actually developed a KPI refresh tool that allowed us to look at multiple accounts at the same time in this environment and refresh and watch data being populated back to us and make adjustments based on those things. Now, somebody is going to probably stop me here and say, well, this sounds great, but you can also create automation through scripts, right? So you don't have to babysit this. That is true, but because we were sort of under the gun and we wanted to ramp this up quickly, and we had developed this tool, we expanded this during the period, we wanted to use this. And so here we can see another view into this tool that we have built that allows us to look at clicks, impression spend, CTR, average CPC. And on that particular day, we scaled up to 10,000. You can see we started low on the left. And as you can see, it was a little bit low as we passed the 420-ish. And guess what? Credit card problems, right? Backup cards failed. Amex had issues. All of this stuff has to be managed. So we had to turn it down. But then we came back strong and we hit that $1 million plus mark in sales at the 78,000 plus spend. Very, very exciting. But this tool actually is available on a trial basis for clients, and we use it ourselves to audit, client accounts and to present reporting. So this is very cool, and this tool is actually being built to take it to version 2.0, which is going to have a lot more recommendations and inspection type of capability. So in summary, then, there's really 3 steps, as I mentioned, to this simple framework to ad scaling. And if you've noticed, I've not gone into a lot of great detail here, and that's on purpose because I want you to understand that if you have the clarity, the focus, the goals, and the strategic planning out the gate in place, and again, that does not have to be weeks on end, right? We can really get very focused and strategic with that in turn. And then that you match that up with targeted audiences and messaging and offers that speaks to that audience, that you have a level of urgency, as I mentioned, with the direct response capability, and that you have a lot of ads that you can test and that you have lined up and that you understand based on all of this, right? And that you have some budget freedom, I call it here, which is, we have budgets assigned for tests, we know that we need to meet those expected KPIs, but we really were fortunate not to have a restriction. It's sort of like, hey, if you meet those KPIs, it's time to go. And that's exactly what we do. And that makes sense because that's basically a math that is healthy. If you have an average order value of X and you have a cost per lead or CPA, cost per acquisition, below that, Y, then you're good. That's a healthy business to start. There's more to be built into that calculation there, but that's a simple equation that works. And so that's really the simple framework here to ad scaling, and I wanted to show you this. Very, very exciting. We also run Facebook ads as well, and we have been doing this, as I mentioned, in the agency for close to 13 years, and Facebook back in 2006, Google Ads back in 2006, Google AdWords then, and Facebook since 2012. And we're a Facebook marketing partner, which is a good thing because we get inside information and details around upcoming features and things that we are very concerned about and want to share with our clients. So I just want to thank you for watching here. Really, if you are interested in learning more about what we do, and if you have questions, very happy to share that with you. But I will say that if you are a business that's established and you have a presence in the marketplace with advertising also in place, we might be a good fit to take this to the next level in full transparency. That's really where I'm coming from today. So if you click the button, it should be appearing on this page right about now, then you can certainly engage with that and schedule a time on our calendar, and we'll be happy to jump on. We'll go through your business scenarios and see if we can help you. Either way, no pressure, of course. This is just a delight to put this presentation together for you here today. This is Jan Ragnerud here. I'm going to sign off right now, but I appreciate it, and hey, keep going strong. Take it easy.